HMS Victory here. What I've done is I've just gone up another 3 rows. Now with these 3 rows, it's rather simple. It's basically what we've been doing throughout the build. It's just here at the front. As you can see, we're not curling all the way around. Also just at the end here, right just at the tip, you'll probably have to take our, let's just bring you in, take the end, and it's sort of like, it's not a bend but it's more of a twist. You can do this by hand because it is just sort of like twisting it a little bit as so, sort of holding it in position, and it does slowly sort of eventually start to twist a bit. And doing the usual chamfering and sort of getting it sort of to fit rather nicely with no gaps. Also, what you want to be doing is you want to be aiming for becoming sort of parallel with the tops of our ribs here as well. So you know, just a little bit of as I say, sort of chamfering and stuff, and little bits of sanding just to sort of get this, you know, coming to start be level and parallel. So it's just a little bit here and there. Also moving along, once you get up to this 3 more rows, you want to make yourself a little jig. I've done this off camera. It's really easy. You just basically get some scrap planks, you know, the normal planking that I've been using, which is 2mm by 4mm, and basically what you want to do is actually just glue together 2 planks using our wood glue. Probably get some washing line pegs like so, and just hold it down, let it dry, and this is another jig that we're going to be using. Now I do believe it is between I'll just have to quickly check the instructions, 17 and 21, so ribs 17 to 21. So we find rib 17, which is this one here. I'm just going to mark it with a pen, with a pencil, just so I know. Right, and all the way to 21, which is just over here. Right, and it's nice and easy. By putting 2 pieces of wood together, you basically make it 2mm. Right, so what we want to do, we want to rest it just on to our ribs here. Hopefully you can, let's bring you in a little bit closer just to make sure. Just rest it on these little notches here, and what we want to do is where that comes to is sort of mark it with a pencil, right? Or what I did actually, the other side, was I got myself a little razor saw and I just butted it up against our little jig here, and all I'm doing is just lightly giving it a little sand, and all I've done there is I've just marked it. That is all there is to it. I have also gone off and done the other side, just so as you know, I'm clearly marking out you know, where we need to mark it according to the instructions, because we are going to be sanding down later. Now there are some along here in which, where's it go to, 21, in which actually it does fall nice and flush, so it just means you haven't got to do any marking, and we'll leave it at that. We're basically going to end up sanding these down to about 3.5mm, so by having 4mm it just gives us a little bit to play with. Once we've done that, we can move along and put on the next row of planking. So putting on 1 more row just along here, and this will be sort of like almost our last long length at the top here before starting to kind of build our way up across the top just there. So on this side, hopefully as you can see, I've already put that final row there. As you can see, it's going just along here where we've marked them up. Probably tidy them up, sand them later. Don't worry too much if you've, I mean, slightly, this plank has slightly gone over. Don't worry about that. You know, it's all going to be, any discrepancies are going to be tidied up later. Also moving along, we've got some more jigs to make. So moving along with our next little jig here, which is basically exactly what we've done throughout with sort of like measuring the height of our gun ports. Same sort of thing going on. We make a little curve to sort of go with the curvature of the hull, and the measurement is 57 millimeters from this point to the end point. Right, remember that is not the length of the wood, it's the length of the point where it butts up to the hull, the planks just here, and it's the point in which it comes to the point of our plank. So you know, we've got a curve there, so the measurements would be slightly different, but 57 centimeters, and same as before, we want to be basically making our mark, right, by butting it up and drawing our line, right, and that's going to be our height line. Next up is another jig, which is a bit different to what we've been doing, and I've sort of like modified this a little bit as well. And this little jig is so as we can get our second line, right, our second line to be able to go up vertically. So what we want to do here is we've already got these lower gun ports already lined up and measured up the way we want them, so we don't need to sort of, you know, try and find the I forgot what they're called again, the bulkheads or whatever, and what we're going to do is we sort of bend it to the curvature of the hull, as you can see here, but we want a nice sort of parallel line with the gun ports we've already made going all the way up. So we've got the curvature of the hull, and what I've done, I've just kind of changed things from what they're saying in instructions. I've glued a nice little bit of a, yeah, a little bit of a plank of wood just there, and what we can basically do is sort of put that up against our gun ports here and draw our line. Thinking about it, actually, I actually probably should glue one on this side as well, which I've just actually noticed, because this one is set up for the opposite side, which I'll just show you. Just show you what I've exactly done. Is on this side, you know, we've got our lower gun port just here, and this butts up inside our lower gun port, right, and all we've got to do is make sure everything's all butted up and parallel there, so as we can then draw our straight line like we have been doing all the way up, which then gives us both, with our two jigs, right, we've both got the height and the vertical line all drawn in there. We then simply, you know, follow what we've been doing all the way through this build with all these gun ports. You know, we make our little jig, draw it out, find the center, and we basically got to go off and cut out a load more gun ports, which is getting a little tiresome. So you know, you might want to sort of leave cutting the gun ports, maybe go off and build an anchor or something, just to sort of, you know, not be kind of constantly cutting out these gun ports, because they do sort of kind of kill it a little bit. The only difference along here is just at the back, the last two gun ports. What we want to do is we want to move them along a certain amount of millimeters. The most rear one, we want to bring our parallel line across by 2 millimeters. The second one, what we want to do is we want to mark from the line that we've already drawn about 1 mil, if I get that right. Here we go. Make a little line, right, 1 mil, both at the top and the bottom, and then we get our ruler, butt it up to the 2 marks we've just made, right, which then should give us a nice parallel line, right, a nice parallel line from our original mark. So remember, it's 2 mil at the back, and 1mm, and the second one along, and then we go off and do our usual marking out our gun ports, as I've already done along here. Next up as well is, let's bring ourselves back to the front here. What we want to be doing now is we want to sort of come up these last two bits here. So getting a ruler, what we're going to do is we're going to place our ruler, button it up to this bulkhead just here, right, and then we're going to measure, right, we're going to measure 142mm, right, and then make a mark, which I've, as you can see, I've already made a mark just here. So it's a bit tricky getting you on camera, but we've got a mark here, and then I have already sort of done some sanding and stuff off camera, but basically you want to cut a piece that will line up with our little mark here, and then as it lines up with that mark here, you let it just overhang just at the front here by just a couple of mil, like we've done with all the rest of our pieces of plank there. Now what you're also going to have to do is, well, if it depends upon basically the way your build's going, because every build is different. If you say put a plank, here's a full plank here, not been touched or anything. If we put this plank across here, as you can see, we've literally got well, hopefully you can see, we've literally got none of the hull, the bulkheads really sort of shown at the top. So we won't, with the second piece, have anything to sort of nail it into. So what I've done is you sort of taper the end that meets the bow end. You want to sort of like basically taper that down by half, right? Still keeping this end all nice and I do believe it's 6mm or something. So you want to have it about, you know, sand it back about 3mm the bow end. So hopefully, as you can see, it then gives us actual room to actually nail in the second row, which will go on top like so, and do all usual chamfering and tapering and stuff to get it all nice and level, and go off and nail them in, glue them in, the usual stuff. Right, hopefully, as you can see, just here we've got that piece just in there, and we've got our bits of bulkhead showing through there, so we can actually nail this down. Now, just at the rear of these planks, we've got a problem in the sense that we've got nothing we can actually nail this into. So what we're going to do is we're going to sort of, well, first off, let's get some glue down, right, and we're going to run this nicely along, right, giving it plenty of glue, right, all the way along, right, and we're just going to place down, make sure we've got the bent area in right, place down right on top, right. But what we need to do, we need to get out some well, first off we need to sort of run the oozed out glue. Ooh. Right, and then we're going to get a peg, right, which is then going to basically squeeze those planks together. Also get in a bit of Tamiya masking tape. I'm using the 18mm. We're going to pull a nice bit of this off, right, and then we're going to have this get pushed down, right. So what we've got going on here is the pegs are lining the planks up, right, and then the masking tape's pushing it down so it can glue down, and then we could probably whack in another peg here as well, just to sort of keep these planks lined up. And we sort of want to do this, I mean, potentially we could do with another one here as well, just sort of holding it down, right, and where's it gone? And another peg sort of lining them up again, like so. And then basically we go along and we're going to nail these in as well, which I'll just throw in the first one, because with the first one it's a bit tricky again as well, because what we need to do is we need to actually sort of put this in at an angle. So let's make our mark first, right, so we know where we're going into, hopefully, as you can see there. And then we need to really sort of push this down at an angle, because, you know, hopefully, as you can see just here, hopefully you can just see there, I mean, you know, the bulkhead is only sort of just going on to that plank, so we need to get it down diagonally and run them all the way along. I mean, once it's sort of dried, I mean, you could maybe put a bit more glue at the back just to reinforce it a little bit more as well.